जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय नित्य लीला ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिभजिकाचार्य अस्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिभजिकाचार्य अस्तोत्र सत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस सिम्हा गुरु भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर की जय। वैराग्य मूर्ति गौर किशोरदास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, thank you so much for coming for the class today. Today we will be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto 56th chapter, verse number 1st, 2nd and 3rd. It's a new chapter we are starting today. Yesterday the chapter regarding Pradyumna being kidnapped as a baby was finished, and today we are starting a new chapter. It's about a jewel that was a very enigmatic, very attractive jewel that was given to a devotee of sun god. So we'll recite text number 1 together. Please repeat after me. Sri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisha Semantaka Manina Swayam Udyamya Dattavan Sri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisha Shamantaka Manina Shamantakena Manina Swayam Uddayam Tattvan Shri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisha Syamantake Namanina Swayam Udyamya Dattavan Shri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisa Syamantake Namanina Swayam Udyamya Dattavan Shri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisa Shamantake Namanina Swayam Udyamya Dattavan Shri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisa Shamantake Namanina Swayam Udyamya Dattavan Shri Sukha Vacha Satrajita Swatanyam Krishnaya Krita Kilbisa Syamantake Namanina Swayam Udyamya Dattavan. Word to word meaning? Please recite afterwards. Sri Sukha Vacha Sukdev Goswami said, Satrajita, King Satrajit, Swa, his own, Tanayam, daughter, Krishnaya, to Lord Krishna, Krita, having committed, Kilbisaha, offense, Syamantakena, known as Syamantaka, Manina, together with the jewel, Swayam, personally, Udyamya, striving, Dattavan, he gave. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Translation: Sukdev Goswami said, having offended Lord Krishna, Satrajit, tried as best as he could to atone by presenting him with his daughter and the Syamantaka jewel. Text number 2. Sri Rajavavacha Satrajita Kim Akkarot Brahman Krishnasya Kilvisha Syamantake Takha Kutastasya Kasmat Datta Suta Hare. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, O Brahmana, what did King Satrajit do to offend Lord Krishna? Where did he get the Syamantaka jewel? And why did he give his daughter to the Supreme Lord? Text number 3. Sri Sukhavacha Asit Satrajita Suryo Bhaktasya Parama Sakha Pritas Tasmai Manim Pradat Sa Cha Tushta Semantakam. Translation. Sukdev Goswami said, Surya, the sun god, felt great affection for his devotee Satrajit, acting as his greatest friend. The demigod gave him the jewel called Syamantaka as a token of his satisfaction. So here again it said that King Satrajit was very devoted to Su, Surya Bhagwan, demigod Surya. Om Agyana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Ulmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padansa Ghana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopeshwara Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapt Kanchan Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Parmami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhai Evacha Patitnam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much for being here in the class today. Uh, yeah, let's. Wanted to get current with you. Yesterday was a busy day, and I was tired. And I remembered one devotee mentioning to me that Srimad Bhagavatam is the cure of all depression. It gives us a lot of energy and hope. And while I was going through the verses of for today's class and trying to do some research, it was really a transformational experience for me. Uh, so we'll discuss this today and try to enhance our understanding of these three verses. This also helped me to stay in Krishna consciousness one more day. So the idea was that King Satrajit was very devoted to demigods, sun demigods, what Vivaswan, demigod Vivaswan, and he was doing a lot of penances and meditation upon demigod Vivaswan to please him, ultimately to get some benediction from him. So, Lord demigod Vivaswan appears before King Satrajit and he asks, "What do you want?" Out of Vivaswan was so pleased with King Satrajit that he took his jewel, Syamantaka jewel, and he placed it on King Satrajit. And now this jewel was very potent. It says it was so potent that it would produce gold every day, lots of pounds of gold every day, and it would cure all distress, material, mental, and physical problems. So King Satrajit and his brother had an altar in their home, and they used to worship like we worship deities here. They used to worship that jewel because that jewel was maintaining them. So Satyajit wanted to see Lord Krishna, so he goes to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna. And since that jewel was the jewel of sun demigod, so it was so effulgent that the people in the assembly of Dwarka they were blinded by it. They couldn't see. It was so bright. They thought that Lord Krishna is his glories are spreading all over the three worlds, It must be that the sun god himself has come to see Lord Krishna. So the people in the assembly goes to Krishna and say that you are so glorious that the sun god has come here to see you. So Krishna says, no, that's not sun god, that's King Satrajit. He is wearing a jewel which is given to him by sun god, and that's why he is so effulgent. Krishna sees Satrajit and they exchange greetings. Krishna says, this jewel is very opulent. This jewel is very opulent. You do one thing. You give this jewel to the king of Yadus. Krishna did not call him the king of Yadus. He called Ugrasena, the king of Yadus. Who was the king before Kamsa did so many atrocities against the Yadu dynasty, and through Ugrasena as the king of Yadus, and Kamsa took over. So Krishna killed Kamsa and he took over, but he still recognized that Ugrasena was the king of all the Yadu dynasty. So he requested Satrajit that this jewel in reality belongs to Ugrasena. He has been serving all the Yadu dynasty for so many years. He should be awarded with such a jewel. It will be nice expression. Satrajit declined. No. The acharyas in the purport discuss that Satrajit could not see that Krishna was asking something from him, and it is just a big favor on Satrajit that if he gets a chance to offer something to Krishna, he should do it, because he will get the results multifold, hundreds of times he will get more than he gives. Say we take one step towards Krishna, Krishna takes 100 steps towards us. But they say King Satrajit was miserly. He did not like that his hard work, his penance, the jewel that he acquired was giving so many benedictions to the people and his family in the kingdom that he was ruling in. He said, no, I earned this, I will not give it to you. But King Satrajit has to pay for it then. He goes back to his kingdom. King Satrajit has a brother called Parsena. And one day he takes the jewel from the altar, because they used to worship the jewel every day, wears it, and he goes for hunting on a horse. Goes for a hunting to hunt lion. He couldn't hunt lion, but somehow lion killed his brother. And so the jewel was lying on the ground. Now, the lion who killed Satrajit's brother, he came across a very huge, gigantic looking bear. That bear was called Jambavan. He was the king of all the bears in that area. He fought with the king of the forest, lion, and he killed the lion. The bear took the Syamantaka jewel and he gave it to his son. The bear gave it to his son to play. Actually, this bear Jambavan was the devotee of Lord Ramachandra, and he helped Lord Ramachandra to defeat Ravana and get Sita back. But afterwards, it's described that he left the association of devotees of Lord Rama, and that's why slowly he associating with people with non-devotional attributes, and he slowly due to bad association left Krishna consciousness. Now King Satrajit is thinking, my brother has died, I cannot find the jewel. It must be that Krishna has killed my brother, because I remember Krishna was saying that give me this Yamantaka jewel. So Krishna always had an eye for that jewel. So he must have killed my brother. And the rumors reached to Krishna, and Krishna is thinking, all I wanted was the jewel for Ugrasena. And King Satrajit is saying, is he's putting a black mark on my reputation, and I'm setting an example of how to behave, how to have character for all the denizens of Dwarka. What will they think? How will they start acting after they hear this? He said, I will clear my name. So he goes with his associates in the forest to to see what's going on. Where did the jewel go? He finds he goes, he's searching, and he sees it's a baby bear, child bear, playing with the Syamantaka jewel. And Krishna goes to the child and says that, this does not belong to you, O child. You give this Syamantaka jewel back. The child starts crying, and this bear, child bear, was being nursed by a nurse bear, and she starts shouting. And it's Jambavan, who was the king of bears, he comes out. Wow, who is troubling my son? Now the interesting thing is, even though he worshipped Lord Ramachandra with all his might, he was very close with Lord Hanuman, he still could not recognize Lord Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Now Krishna says, this does not belong to you nor to your son. Please give this Yamantaka jewel back. Jambavan says no. Krishna and Jambavan starts fighting, and they are fighting furiously for days and days and days, because Jambavan is also very strong. So Krishna lets him fight with him for so many days. But Jambavan is thinking, I am the king of bears, and he is a really mighty personality. But who is this human who is able to fight with me for so long, and my bones feel exhausted? We exercise, somebody is not exercising for a long time, they exercise just for one day, they feel exhausted. And he says, I am the king of bears, I'm so strong, my bones feel exhausted. Who is this person? Now he concludes, this must be Lord Vishnu, otherwise nobody can fight with me for so long, and I am feeling exhausted. He surrenders before Lord Vishnu, and he says, yes, it was my mistake. You are my Lord of all the people. You're Lord of all the people, and you're my Lord also. I forgot you. Please forgive me. And he says, please take the Syamantaka jewel. Not only this jewel, but everything in this world belongs to you, O Lord. And Krishna becomes very pleased with Jambavan. He blesses him, and all the energy in his body comes back. But Jambavan sees this as an opportunity to serve Krishna. He says, I not only offer Syamantaka jewel to you, I also offer my daughter to you. And Krishna goes back to Dwaraka with Jambavati, who was the daughter of Jambavan. He marries her. Now he calls King Satrajit in his kingdom to, to, to give back his Syamantaka jewel. And King Satyajit comes in Dwarka again, and he's very ashamed of himself. That he made false accusations against Krishna, and Krishna not only got the Samantaka jewel back as a proof that he did not take it, he's also willing to return it to me. So King Satyajit says, "No, I do not want this jewel. You keep this jewel, and I also offer my daughter to you." And her name was Satyabhama. But Krishna was not willing to accept the jewel, Samantaka jewel back. And he sarcastically says to King Satrajit that, after all, you are a devotee of Sun God, and Sun God has given this to you, so it belongs to you. So is he also, Acharyas describe, he's indirectly saying that you are not my devotee. These are these are the blessings from Lord Shiva, Lord Sun, Vivaswan. This belongs to you. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, as you surrender unto me, so I reciprocate. Whatever we receive from demigods are actually the blessings of Krishna, but it's indirectly coming from Krishna, not directly. So he surrendered unto Lord Vivaswan, so that's how Krishna will reciprocate. And he paid a big price for it. And later I remember reading in 57th chapter that even King Satrajit has also died. They say just because he had this mood of proprietorship for what he has worked for, so he will not be able to give to Krishna. So what character defects are we seeing in King Satrajit? for not giving this Yamantaka jewel to Krishna when Krishna is asking for it. False ego, false ego that this belongs to me, I worked for it. The real ego is that we are servant of Krishna, but he has false ego. Another character defect, self-importance. He is not considering, how deserving is King Ugrasena. He just is seeing his penances he performed to receive that jewel. His false pride, his insincerity towards his identity as a servant of Lord Krishna, and self-justification. I worked for it, I got it, it belongs to me. So these are the character defects. But what should, as a devotee, we see these character defects in ourselves, what should we be striving for? Instead of false ego, we should be striving for having always the mood of real ego. What is the real ego? We are servant of Krishna. Instead of self-importance, always thinking like King Satrajit, this belongs to me. I'm a devotee of Lord Vivaswan. Why should it go to Ugrasena? Instead of self-importance, he should have modesty. Instead of false pride, he should have simplicity. In place of insincerity towards Lord Krishna, he should be straightforward towards Lord Krishna. Yes, I am your servant. This is my duty to serve you. Instead of self-justification, he should have humility. So these are the contrast of what are the character defects. We call them liabilities, and in place of them, it should be replaced by assets like real ego, modesty, simplicity, straightforwardness, and humility. Now, on this topic, I wanted to talk about this more. False ego. What is false ego? And I chose some verses from Bhagavad Gita which talks about false ego. Bhagavad Gita 2.71 says, a person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain peace. Krishna is also saying, if one who gives up the sense of proprietorship, not that he's thinking this jewel belongs to me. In our lives also, we have proprietorship over so many things. The sense of proprietorship, if we have, Krishna says we cannot attain real peace. To understand oneself, as Prabhupada is writing in the purport of this verse, to understand oneself as eternal servant of Krishna and not claiming false proprietorship over anything is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. I was very moved by that, because more sense of proprietorship we have, proprietorship not over gross things, but our qualities, our abilities, that I have this ability. This will not help us achieve real peace. Krishna says, I am the ability in man. Anything that is good in other people, the source of that is Krishna. So how can we be proud of that? Bhagavad Gita 5.11 also talks about this. The yogis, abandoning attachment, act with the body, mind, intelligence, and even with senses, only for the purpose of purification. King Satrajit is performing so many penances, and it's all good that he received this brilliant jewel, Syamantaka jewel, from Lord Vivaswan. But what would really matter, what would really add to his spiritual life, what would be his real spiritual credit, if he agreed to Krishna and all those penances that he performed, he offered it to Ugrasena. So all of his material endeavors would be transformed into spiritual endeavors. Krishna will be pleased with him, and that's all we really want, that Krishna be pleased with us. Prabhupada is writing in the purport, a person acting in Krishna consciousness, or in other words, service to Krishna, with his body, mind, intelligence, and words, is liberated person, even within this material world, although he may be engaged in so many material activities. They say when Krishna was fighting with the king of bears, Jambavan, he was took him so many days to return to Dwarka. So the Rukmini, Queen Rukmini, his family members, they were very scared. What happened to Krishna? Did he get hurt? They were still not in the mood of Krishna being the supreme personality of Godhead. So they started worshipping Lord Durga, goddess Durga, goddess Durga, Durga Devi, so that Lord Lord Krishna is safe and sound in his fight with the bear. So, so we can worshipping demigods. In Brahmotsav we worship also demigods. We invite all the demigods, Saraswati, Lakshmi, Kuvera, to come and bless us so that we can advance in Krishna consciousness. So these material activities, even he's offering penances to Lord Vivaswan, it can be spiritual if he offers it in Krishna consciousness to King Ugrasena. Yes, Krishna asked for it, I must give it. Not that I should give it, I must give it. Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, the last chapter, 17th verse, also talks about false ego. One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, although he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by action. See, whatever action we do, we get some reaction. We perform some pious activities. If he was using this Yamantaka jewel, so much gold was generated, all the disease and mental, physical problem was going away from his kingdom. Naturally, the citizens of the kingdom will be happy. This will be a pious credit for King Satyajit, but he would have to come back into this world to enjoy those pious credits. But this verse is saying not only pious activities will be dovetailed in Krishna consciousness, even if Krishna was talking to Arjuna when Arjuna was reluctant to fight, that even if he kills men in Krishna consciousness, he does not kill, nor is he bound by action. So any action performed in Krishna consciousness does not have any reaction on the material plane. Now keeping this jewel to himself, King Satyajit, he's also showing one more defect. What is that defect? Talked about other defects, but he's showing lust. He's showing lust for enjoying an object, material object. So thought we'll talk about lust. Uh, what is lust? Lust is I'm blocking Krishna, I'm blocking God, and I'm enjoying that object. It doesn't necessarily have to be physical. Uh, Lust is also shown when we shut God, Krishna, in anything that we are doing. Lust is also shown when we are very greedy. We are shutting Krishna outside and we are enjoying that object. We are thinking we are enjoying, but actually we are hurting ourselves. I remember reading that lust is an act of violence against our soul. Lust is an act of violence against our soul. Not only and people are lusty, other people end up getting hurt, but first we are hurting ourselves. Syamantaka is King Ugrasena has blessings of Krishna anyways, and but King Satyajit is hurting himself. We talked about that he will later die also. His brother also died just because of his lust, his greed, that this object belonged to me. Was proprietorship. He wanted to enjoy that object. He wanted to be the proprietor. But real proprietor is Krishna. Real proprietor is Krishna. It says that when we occupy an object, it's life giving. It seems to be life giving, but it takes our life away because we shut ourselves away from Krishna. The source of all life, the source of joy is Krishna in our heart. We we should we should take blessings of Krishna and stop lusting. This is actually lusting, because we shut ourselves away from God. It's an act of violence against our soul. So it two Bhagavad Gita verses that talks about lust. 3.3839. As a fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by the dust, or as an embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. Right? We talked about, there's gross and then there's subtle. There's different degrees of lust. So also there will be different degrees of surrender to Krishna. Not only surrender my right to lust with the material body, I surrender my right to lust with this object. I surrender my right to lust with my qualities. And we have to get to the point of absolute surrender. Krishna, please be merciful unto me. I give up my right to lust to you. Please be merciful unto me. This should be the cry of a devotee. Because they say Krishna is a very compassionate and merciful Lord. When he hears this cry, then he blesses the devotee with his love. When we experience Krishna's love in our heart, then not one Syamantaka jewel, thousands of Syamantaka jewel will be insignificant in comparison to that love that we are experiencing in our heart. In 39th verse of third chapter, it says, thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by eternal enemy lust. Lust is an eternal enemy, which is never satisfied and burns like fire. Just where does it burn? It burns like fire in our heart. Burns like fire, and it's an eternal enemy. One day I want one Syamantaka jewel. After that, I will not be satisfied with one. Then I would want one more, then one more, then one more. Wanting more always leads to wanting more. We are never satisfied and we become more and more thirsty. Why are becoming the source of life, that is Krishna? See, this is the paradox of lust. The more one enjoys, the more one suffers. And the more one dies to oneself, one achieves life in Krishna, receives life from Krishna, joy from Krishna, experiences love of God. Purport, Prabhupada is writing, it is said in Manusmriti that lust cannot, by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel, lust cannot be satisfied. In this material world, the center of all activities is sex, and this material world is called Mathuna Agraha, or the shackles of sex life. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness. It may be thinking, I am getting a shot of life. It's not getting a shot of life. It's taking life away from me, actually, because we are blocking Krishna. Prabhupada is writing, but actually that so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. So false ego, we can attribute false ego. Bhagavad Gita talks about any attachment to material things. That is a sign, a manifestation of false ego. So there was this book I was reading. They say the title of the book was interesting. Crazy Ideas in Krishna Consciousness. Dr. Keshava Anand Das. There was this question. Then naturally, when we give up our material acquisitions, a source of suffering for us, because we worked so hard for it. What will we gain, by giving such results of hard work to Krishna? So there's this chapter in the book called How to Get Relief from Sufferings. So this Prabhu was writing that the crazy idea is that devotion to Krishna hampers material advancement. He advanced materially. He acquired a Samantaka jewel, which will keep on giving gold again and again, every day. It will take all the miseries away, mental, physical. It will make everything pure in his kingdom. Why would he want to give it to Krishna? Right? So that's what the idea. It says the crazy idea that we have is that devotion to Krishna hampers material advancement. Uh, and Prabhu is writing, material life sucks. Those who think that the so called material advancement is very joyful are utterly mistaken. There may be some enjoyment of riches, sensual enjoyment, beauty, and name and fame, but ultimately there is nothing but fear. Anything material that we acquire, it's a source of fear. It is fear. It is fear. It increases fear in our heart. And then Prabhu quotes from Bharati Hari, verse number 31, that when one enjoys sensual pleasure, there is a fear of disease. When one is born in a rich family, there is a fear of fall down, that I will just exhaust all the material resources. When one has lot of honor, I have a big position in society, everybody respects me, then always in the heart of that person there is fear of humiliation. When one has a lot of power, lot of pull, then he has fear of his enemies, because other people wants to devour him and extract that power away from him. When one is very beautiful, they have a fear of aging. It says, the translation says, all facets of man's life on earth carry with them great fear. The only solution is renunciation, which alone is fearlessness. Fearlessness. Renunciation means everything that we have, we use that in service of Krishna, then all our fear goes away. All our fear is transformed into faith, faith in Krishna. Prabhu is writing the real advancement in life is advancement in our consciousness and our character. That is real acquisition. Now, Rup Goswami also talks about it. Thought we will discuss this few verses from Nectar of Instructions. Renunciation is called Tyaga in Sanskrit. So, one instruction from Jagannananda Pandit about renunciation is in, I think, second verse, third verse of second or third verse of Nectar of Instructions. He says that if you wish to associate with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas. Chota Haridas was a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He lusted after, in his mind, somebody, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu renounces him. He cries and cries that he wants to come back, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wouldn't see him. He ends up committing suicide. Uh, if you So Jagannathananda Pandit is saying, if you wish to associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you must always remember the incident of Chota Haridas and how he was rejected by the Lord. Thus, do not eat luxurious dishes or desire fine garments, but always remain humble and serve the Lordships, Shri Shri Radha and Krishna, in your heart of hearts. Having this sense of proprietorship, how can we, if we have so much sense of proprietorship, how can we always be in mood of a servant? So that's what Jagannathananda Pandit is also reminding us. And Nectar of Instructions also quotes two verses from Bhagavad Gita. 7.15 says that the miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake in the atheistic nature, do not surrender unto me. As he talked about their different degrees of surrender, we give up our different degrees of right to lust to Krishna. Says we have to give up, King Satrajit has to give up his right on Semantaka jewel to Krishna. We'll also talk about a devotee who did that, who gave up his right, all his sense of proprietorship to Krishna. Who was that devotee? He is one of the Mahajans. He is one of our commanders in devotional life. His name was King Bali. So, Krishna is the real sunshine. He said, Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakar. Yahan Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Adhikar. Wherever there is Krishna consciousness, there is sunshine. Wherever there is sunshine, there is no darkness. Wherever there is no darkness, there is no illusion. So if Krishna is present in mind, Prabhupada is saying, there is no chance of being influenced by Maya Devi. So Syamantaka jewel seems to be very attractive, so much sunshine. It says Krishna is the real sunshine. That's what we should really strive towards. What Maharaj Bali did was, Maharaj Bali was a grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, who was saved by Lord Narsingadev. He conquered all the planetary systems, heavenly, lower planetary system, earth, everything. And the demigods run towards Lord Vishnu, please help us, take our side. Lord Vishnu says, no, I cannot take sides. Actually, Narsingadev promised Prahlad Maharaj that not only your father is delivered, all of the 14th generation back of you is delivered, and 14th generation coming in your family will be delivered by me. So Narsingadev already made a promise. Lord Vishnu says, I cannot help you, Maharaj Bali. I cannot kill Maharaj Bali, but I will try to help you. So Lord Vishnu takes the form of this dwarf Brahmana, very beautiful looking child. And Maharaj Bali is having a Rajasuya Yagya. He is having this yagna, as he's established of the emperor of the universe. And it's time to give charities. It's time to give charities. And this Vamandev comes and says, he starts to glorify Maharaj Bali. He glorifies him to the utmost extent, his lineage, his prowess, and his might, and and people start to glorify you so much, the mind starts working. What is he getting at? What does he want from me? And so he glorifies, small Brahmana Vamandev keeps glorifying Maharaj Bali uh, to the utmost extent, and then says, can you please give me a donation? It's your time to give donations at the end of this sacrifice that you are performing. And Maharaj Bali said, yes, of course, I will give you donations. What do you want? And he says, i will I will walk on land 3 steps, and whatever land area I cover in those 3 steps, you give me though that land area. And he said, I am Maharaj Bali, I am the emperor of the universe. Whoever comes to me for charity, I want to make sure they do not need any charity all their lives. So he says, no, I just want 3 steps of land. He said, okay. Now he was taking water in his hand and was going to make a solemn vow that he's going to fulfill this promise. Now Shukracharya was the spiritual master of Bali, Maharaj Bali. He wants Maharaj Bali, don't do this. This small Brahmana is actually Lord Vishnu. And he predicts, he will transform into this huge gigantic form, and he's going to cover in 2 steps all the planetary systems, the bottom one and the upper one, earth and everything heavenly. And third step, there will be no third step, and you will be humiliated because you are not fulfilling your promise. Now he had a lot of things. He had to put his faith in Shukracharya because he was a spiritual master. Not only that, Shukracharya saved his life. Maharaj Bali died in his war against the demigods. One of the battles. Shukracharya somehow revived him from dead, and restored life in him. And people invest in stocks, and they find a broker who's helping them make so much money, so they would tend to have more faith in them than a new person who is, even though he's beautiful, Vamandev, he's also a Brahmana, he's beautiful and attractive and kind. And but if Shukracharya was given so much return on his investment, he should logically put his faith in Shukracharya. They say faith without works is dead. There's no meaning putting faith in some process if it's not working for you. And Shukracharya, he did not take the advice of Shukracharya. He did not, because he says, I promised this Brahmana, how can I break my promise? He asked for 3 steps of land, I'll give it to him. And then he thinks that, if he is really Lord Vishnu, then it will be my great delight to give everything that I have earned to Lord Vishnu. And that so happens, he said, I make a solemn vow that I will give three steps of land to you. A small Brahmana, cute looking boy, transforms into a huge gigantic form, and it's a 3 Vakrama form, and take one leg, all the lower planetary system is covered, another foot, all the upper planetary system is covered. Where will he put his 3rd foot? And now, how can Maharaj Bali fulfill his promise? He doesn't know, he doesn't have an answer for him. So Lord Vamandev humiliates Bali Maharaj. You are not fulfilling your promise. Not only he humiliates, Prahlad Maharaj comes, he humiliates, Narad Muni comes, he humiliates, and he accepts humiliation. Yes, I am incapable, I couldn't fulfill my promise. He says, you put 3rd step on my head. I am also your property. Not only this whole universe is your property, I am also your property. Vamandev becomes so pleased with Bali Maharaj. At first, when he was humiliated, he said, you have not fulfilled your promise to a Brahmana. You'll go to hell. You'll go to hell. But whatever Lord says, there is a transcendental plan. He becomes so pleased with Bali Maharaj that, he offered even himself to Bali Maharaj. Bali Maharaj offered even himself to Lord Vamandev. So he said, you go to hell, but you will become the king of hell. And I will be your security guard in hell. So Lord Vishnu is guarding the kingdom of Maharaj Bali in hellish planetary system. And the next Indra, the prophecy is the next Indra, the king of demigods, will be Maharaj Bali. So currently he is taken charge of all the lower planetary system, but when our current Indra retires from his position, then Maharaj Bali will. So one receives life by giving everything to Krishna. So this was this comparison between Maharaj Bali, who is our commander in devotional life. He's a Mahajan. We have to follow his example. And speaking of proprietorship, Rupa Goswami says that all wealth belongs to Krishna. I just summarize Nectar of Instruction. All wealth belongs to Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. So even though we acquire something, we should all give to him. And he sets an example that when he renounces everything and goes to join the movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives 50% of whatever he earned to Krishna, to the movement of all the Vaishnavas. So ideally that should be our aim also. So that's all I read and compiled. If you can share your realizations, I would be very much indebted to you.
Very nice class. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Super nice. So I have a question that has been like a missing link for me for some time. But obviously, faith covers everything. So it's never really bothered me, but um, it presented itself in class, so I thought I'd ask it today. So we have it where um, the king, he was say took shelter under the sun demigod, and it says in the Gita, you know, worshiping a demigod is like watering a branch in a tree when you should go directly to the roots. Um, Now, how does that relate when it's our mood here that we are the servant of the servant of the servant? Obviously, the sun demigod is a servant of Lord Krishna.
Yes.
And so when it comes to us being a servant of the servant, then, it's our duty to serve, servants. And, you know,
Yes, Prabhu. So when we see demigods in that light, that then we should respect and worship them in that way. I was mentioning, even in ISKCON temples in Brahmotsav, they invite all the demigods, goddess of learning Saraswati, Lakshmi Devi, Kuvera, goddess who accumulates all the fortune, and we worship and say, you please bless us, so that we can advance in Krishna consciousness, we can expand the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we are their servant, as they are servant of Krishna, and we seek their blessings as we seek the blessings of spiritual master to advance in Krishna consciousness. We seek their blessings so that we can, their blessings in all the opulence that they can endow us with, so that we can use those opulences in serving Krishna. They say that gopis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that above the most exalted devotees of Krishna are the gopis in Vrindavan. Those gopis were worshipping Katiyayani Devi, uh, demigoddess, I think expansion of Durga Devi, so that they get Krishna as their husband. So worshipping and with awe and reverence all the demigods as servant of Krishna is good. I said, in India, Indians, they all worship Lord Ganesh. Lord Ganesh, they say, because Lord Ganesha, we're having an elephant face. So they worship him because he bestows material opulences. But actually, they say that Lord Ganesha is receiving all his opulences from the feet of Lord Narasimha. So if we are, so we it's all about our consciousness. Our consciousness of serving them should not make us forget us as servants of Krishna.
you.
Thank you. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल।